Okay, well, we're going to do Total War. Nope, we're going to do. I used Obesity to conquer my enemies in Total War 3.
The gameplay of Warhammer 3 is an obvious allegory for America.
And this is because tomorrow I'm taking down Grom after fighting him like 6 times and losing like 6 times. I'm taking him down.
And its obesity crisis. You start as one of 437 different races and immediately begin killing everyone that looks even remotely different than you. Why? Because unless you're some kind of
that is the game, yeah.
play-on-shoot idiot, your short and long-term goal is world domination.
Yep.
You can play as the humble humans. They're great if you have a low moral barometer and a sexual attraction to artillery pieces. But maybe you'd rather be an anemic sex criminal instead. The dwarves have you covered. And if all else fails, you can always play as a colony of Twitter users. Fascinating creatures. In reality, it doesn't matter which
Twitter users.
faction you choose, because much like a cocaine-infused stockbroker, you will inevitably develop an unhealthy relationship with watching numbers go up. Your borders can always be bigger, your income always higher, and of course, you can always accumulate more mass. In a world where there is a one-to-one correlation between your charge damage and your BMI, suddenly being morbidly obese has
Look at that guy! He's just a happy guy. He's just happy to be here. He's just living his best life. He's all dripped out. He's got a ham leg. He's happy. This is like actually my goal in life. Greece is very happy. I wish I could be as happy as him.
become the greatest superpower of all. And when it comes to being immensely fat, no one does it better than Grom the Paunch.
Heck
This
you,
heaving
Grom!
green mass of cholesterol is not only sentient, but he's one of the strongest units in the game. Men want to be him, women want to be with him.
I don't think women want to be with him, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Today, I am him. Immediately upon loading, it became clear that I have entered my own personal hell, because I am surrounded on all sides by the French. Jesus Christ, even the
You're
vampires
wrong.
are French. I solved this conundrum through careful diplomacy, and by careful diplomacy, I mean I had an obese man drive over their heads in a chariot. With our first enemy fended off, we can now participate in the real gameplay, creating strange and elaborate mukbangs to help Grom on his personal mission to tantalize the Vor community. As you can see here, Grom is starving, obviously, and we're going to need to make him some food.
Ew.
To do this, we need to acquire several obscure ingredients from around the world, which will almost certainly necessitate the eradication of countless civilizations, but their sacrifice is one I am willing to make. Our goal is to create and consume all foods, at which point our purpose in life will be complete.
What is this? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Psychological, safety, love and belonging, esteem, and obesity. Oh. That's how it goes.
And Grom can die peacefully from a convulsion-inducing heart attack. For now, the easiest way to collect ingredients is to just kill everyone we meet and sort out the tasty parts later. To accomplish this, I have launched a brave and courageous eugenics program, whereby whenever a French army spawns, I kill...
Wait, he's fighting the French? Oh my god, this is gonna give me PTSD. This is gonna give me PTSD. He's fighting the French?
But immediately, my fringe scientific beliefs eventually led me to Bordelot, where we were ambushed by a large quantity of Frenchmen. In such moments, the game will try to gaslight you into believing you're at risk of losing. Allow me to show you why this is literally impossible. As greenskins, you have a wide selection of characters, buttons, and settings, but only one of them is actually worth pressing, because when your total lack of brain activity inevitably causes you to start losing a battle, I want you to slam your forehead through the emergency glass and press this button. The WA button instantly
Whoa!
buffs your entire army and heals it for 50% of its health. With such immense power, we can effectively neglect any tactical decision making and instead focus on meaningful gameplay decisions, such as using a homeless lady to vomit on unsuspecting peasants. Following
Oh my god, was that the titty girl? Was that the titty girl that we killed? That homeless lady?
this, we were given a quest by a decapitated head, which my psychiatrist
Yeah.
assures me is not normal. Regardless, after completing said quest, we were awarded with a stone golem, which is definitely not overpowered to have on turn 4. After that, we invaded Castle Bordelot and successfully renovated
Titty
it
Mancha.
into a heaping pile of shit. Understandably upset by this, our French enemies launched one final assault on us, armed with Odo and 39 people he found at the bus stop. This was a poor decision on their part. The rapid expansion of our empire had regretted regrettably drawn the attention of the Greater Francophone hive mind, which caused the Fey Enchantress to declare war on us. She attacked us with an army of mounted knights. However, we have the perfect and most dangerous counter to cavalry, a 15-degree incline. The very concept of a non-uniform Earth caused her cavalry to absolutely lose their minds and enter a profound state of psychosis. In response,
the moon is a hologram.
I did the only humane thing possible, which was to complete an industrial amount of mercy killings. With the Fey Enchantress now defeated, it is time to break several international treaties by ingesting our enemies. It's around this time people you don't know will start paying you extortion money you didn't ask for. By this point, our reputation had increased enough to allow us to press the only other button that matters in the game, Call to Wa. By pressing this, we can designate a city to destroy and double the size of all of our armies for 20 turns. If Grom was a car, this would be the equivalent of not only uninstalling his brakes, but replacing them with another acceleration pedal. I chose Castle Carcassonne as our target and plowed Grom into it at 300 miles per hour. Needless to say, there were no survivors. This was the last of our enemies' territories, which effectively rendered them homeless. And in this game, much like in real life, for every turn you are homeless...
Hi Mikro, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, raiders. Welcome, welcome. I'm doing history reacts today, but because tomorrow I fight Grom in Total War with Sotek, we're watching the Grom video quick.
You slowly but
By
noticeably
Reggie.
decompose a little more. But Grom does not care, because I just realized the Wood Elves have invaded Paravent, and little did they know I had already developed a parasocial relationship with that exact settlement.
A parasocial relationship with that settlement.
And their invasion of it unofficially and then officially meant war. With our army still chubbed up from our favorite button, I decided to invade the Wood Elf territories. Fighting the Wood Elves is a lot like fighting the Viet Cong. You are going to be shot by people you can't see, develop a rational fear of trees, and then experience PTSD for the rest of your life. It's a dirty job, but someone has to do it, because they're dangerous. I mean, would you really trust your kids around this man?
Gumo is shocking my cock.
I didn't think so. We marched straight into their capital and began our siege. I deployed my army in no particular order, but still managed to crush the Wood Elves under the weight of 8,000 goblin spearmen. Oh, and we also did this to them. They really didn't like that. I would occupy the settlement, but it's just so goddamn disgusting I decided to leave and never come back. By this point, we collected 8 ingredients. A good start, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Okay, this is actually fun. What is this? Is this like their special faction thing? They get to like make soups? That's really cool. Yeah, it is. They're chefs. Grom's Cauldron. It's specific to that legendary. Oh, it's a Grom faction cauldron. Oh, interesting. That's actually really cool. Is it kind of like the Tomb King's like canoptic jars? You make things that give you items? Kind of. Grom specific mechanics since he's a hungry boy. It's his equivalent to the Bretonnian vows and stuff. Oh, okay, kind of. That's cool.
Fortunately, a food merchant appeared on the map to help us out. There's a couple of ways to interact with the food merchant. For example, we can buy ingredients from her, rob her for money, or cook food for her in exchange for upgrades to our cauldron. I chose the last option. However, the food merchant speaks exclusively in some kind of goblin ebonics, which makes it just about impossible to decipher what the fuck she is actually saying. But we can deal with that later. We have more important things to tend to. A man we don't know explained he wants to kill us. Ikid is still paying us money to leave him alone. And the most French man to have ever lived declared war on us. It's around this time you will realize playing Grom the Paunch is effectively an exercise in resistance. The rest of the world is staging a violent intervention to prevent us from eating ourselves into a diabetic coma, and we must resist. To this effect, I hired a new commander, Gorebirds, and gave him an army. I put Gorebirds in charge of the neighborhood watch, which meant that roughly once every 5 turns, he would see Orion and subsequently beat him to death for trying to leave the enchanted forest. This worked very well, and it allowed Grom to plow northward. You
know what surprised me fighting Grom? Grom's a speedy boy. He's fast. Like, he's a zooming. Whatever trying to catch him, he's just a zooming out of there.
Defeating Luan in a series of battles that could only be described as unethical. By this point, we had effectively converted the French countryside into something vaguely resembling Canada. But there's still one issue. Quebec. I declared war on...
Quebec. The French are so mad right now.
The undead and began ransacking their armies. I'd like to say it is very difficult to kill a ghost with a catapult. but not impossible. With most of Bretonnia now thoroughly under our control, I decided to do two very important things. First, I researched a revolutionary artillery platform that allows me to dress my goblins up like cute little
Oh, those things are so annoying! The little goblin daredevil guys. The trebuchet goblins.
Readers, look at him. He thinks he's a bat.
He's
but
so
don't
happy.
Get too attached, and definitely don't name them, because they have pledged fealty to the Empire of the Rising Sun, and the next thing we're doing is launching them from a catapult as kamikaze dive bombers. Because after all, why bother buying explosives when you can be the explosive?
It's super
Apart from
effective.
This, I sent one of my armies out to explore the wonderful and enchanting ocean in search of delicious aquatic ingredients, and they were killed immediately by Somali pirates. This didn't upset me as much as it caused me to fly into a blind rage and immediately begin building the most immoral army.
I understand him so well. Me playing Super Smash Bros.
Possible in an effort to punish the world for my misfortune. 11 snotling pump wagons and 8 trebuchets. Don't mind if I do. To be clear, I don't even want to play this army, because microing 11 cavalry units requires a level of attention that I am simply not capable of. You see, my brain is powered by a single Nigerian man running on a hamster wheel, and I fear that managing this army may in fact result in his death. But we'll never be able to achieve our dream of congestive heart failure if we aren't willing to make a few sacrifices, so let's continue. With our French enemies now lying in various stages of decomposition, I took a few turns to figure out our place in the world, which is apparently 22nd. That's right, we're not even on—
wait, there's strength ranks! Is Trebuchet where the bad stim peasants go? Oh, we could build a Trebuchet. We could build one. That is something we could do. Who would micro 14 different cavalry units? Surely not stim, right? That makes you want to have a brain aneurysm.
On the podium, but we can fix that with one simple trick. Another call to Wa. By literally doubling our standing military, we've gone from rank 22 to rank 3. This is troubling because it means there are 2 other factions.
I want to check my rank in Tomb Kings. I didn't know I could check my rank. I feel like I would be like number 1 after killing Scarbrand. Cycle charging 40 units of cavalry moment. That sounds like my nightmare. But also kind of fun.
That are more than twice as powerful as us. Regardless, I can't risk our food quest being jeopardized by a larger faction, so we have to become the larger faction, which means that some people need to die. If you recall, about 20 turns ago, the dwarves body-shamed Grom pretty viciously.
Hey, dickass! Leave some type 2 diabetes for the rest of us. What? I like how he replaces these.
And that shit doesn't fly around here, so we're going to go stab them to death with spears. I declared their capital city as the target of our Wa and began assembling my armies. I decided it might be beneficial to have a path into the Dwarven Mountains, and the only one available was through the Wood Elves. So I opted to kill Orion and take his fancy little treehouse. Unfortunately, this caused Findal to become scared, and he declared war on us, so we killed him, which resulted in Daith becoming frightened and declaring war on us. So we killed him too. But then Durthu got upset, so we had to kill him, which caused both Ellen and Eltharion to get upset, but unfortunately, we haven't researched intercontinental ballistic—
The biggest ICBM? What does that mean?
missiles, so we'll kill them later. By the end of it, I had personally slaughtered 10,079 people just to get to the dwarves. If I was a dwarf, I would be mildly concerned by that statistic. Helman Gorst certainly was, because he attempted to befriend me by donating 300 gold. Obviously, I accepted and then declared war on him immediately.
Okay, Reggie does the things that I'm scared to do in my game. That's why I love Reggie videos. He always does the thing that I want to do, but I'm too scared to do. Which is take their money, go be at peace with them, and then declare war and make everyone hate you. ICB is intercontinental ballistic missiles. Oh. Stim, you should just go crazy and do it. I should. After I beat Tomb Kings, I'm gonna have like a— what's the word? An evil run where I just make war on everybody.
After. It's not personal, Hellman. I just really need a test subject for the meme team. So I invaded his settlement. Honestly, the army is beautiful in a Francisco Goya kind of way. 11 squadrons of deranged mushroom enthusiasts being supported by 24 catapults. It's all I've ever wanted. The game plan is to entangle the pump wagons with the enemy forces and—
This is the Sims music. It has to be.
And and cause a large-scale traffic jam in the middle of the map. Once that has been accomplished, the pump wagons will call in an artillery strike on their own position, thus obliterating everything in the process. Needless to say, this was very entertaining to witness.
Aw,
Such a fucking
cute.
stupid army. And after 15 minutes of bulldozing zombies and pelting them with mini fridge-sized rocks, we had managed to kill 1,812 enemies. They had managed to kill 34, seemingly not at all demoralized by losing a battle with a casualty ratio of 53 to 1. Hellman kept attacking us. You'd think his original defeat would have taught him a lesson, but some people, they have to learn the same lesson over and over and over.
Me teaching the Stim peasants. I don't know what lesson I'm teaching you, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot of lessons. In most Total War games, not Warhammer 3 though, there is a This is Total War achievement where you have to immediately declare war on everyone you know and never make peace. I want to do that. As Stim doesn't know what she's teaching us, we know. No wonder we can't learn.
Eventually, we managed to send Hellman to the retirement home in the sky when Grom broke every bone in his body by hitting him with a car. That was a fun distraction. Now, back to the dwarves. With direct access to the Dwarven Mountains, I was able to send Gorebirds to Karak Izor and Karak Bufdar to claim them for my food empire. I even managed to find a new ingredient in the process. The main Dwarven army was actually located to the south at Maragliano, where they were busy harassing my Skaven submissive. I sent Gorebirds down there to sort things out. Their army actually looked a little intimidating because they have Apache attack helicopters, but unfortunately for them, we have people who are willing to destroy their helicopters by launching themselves headfirst into the propellers.
Oh my
After
god!
a little more careful diplomacy, we managed to defeat the dwarf army. The loss of 90% of their military and 3 of their largest cities caused them to drop from strength rank 15 to rank 103, and we went all the way up to rank 2. Very cool. While this was going on, I stumbled across another food merchant with a substantially less cryptic food request. She wants a pie. I can do that. The only issue is we don't really have any conventional pie ingredients, so we're going to have to push the theoretical boundaries on what exactly it means to be a pie. For example, is a severed foot submerged in a vial of semen a pie?
That's an item in the game? What? Why did he call it that? Oh, that's the Centaur milk. That's... Oh, it's that one.
Apparently it is, and she loved it. With that...
She loved it! Yeah, that's the Centaur milk that Sotek told me about. She loved it. Of course she did. Of course she did.
We have now unlocked a new ingredient slot, which will allow us to make more potent food going forward. For example, we can combine monster goo with troll meat and phoenix claws to produce the following. Grom gets 100 weapon damage and sundering attacks.
The Magnum pizza? My god, it's a monstrosity.
Our goblins get a regeneration ability as well as flaming arrows, and our trolls get sexually transmitted diseases. That's pretty good. Now with 12 foods, I think it's time to conduct our ingredient hunt in a more deliberate manner. Each of the 13 remaining food items actually tells us how to get them. For example, to unlock harpy heads, we have to sack a dark elf settlement. That doesn't sound too hard, until you realize the closest dark elf settlement is across the fucking ocean. So at this point, the game turns into a scavenger hunt, but with substantially more violence. I figured the best approach to this would be to divide and conquer, so I've elected 3 generals to lead the expedition to the grocery store that is this world. First, we have Rachnik Spiderclaw. He's a unique lord that provides special buffs to spider-based units in his army. So I equipped him with a highly diverse army of goblins, goblins riding spiders, and goblins riding really big spiders that can also summon additional smaller spiders.
Ew!
Next, we have Gorebirds. I've specialized him into...
Wow, okay, he's actually really cool. Gorebird's backslider. Is that like a dinosaur on his shoulder? That guy is really cool. More like Gorebird's backshotter? Wait a second. Wait a second.
Fighting buffs for trolls and giants, so his army is composed mostly of totally normal and socially well-adjusted individuals. Then we have Oglok the Orrible, who is specialized in the use of weaponized pigs. Between these 3 geniuses, I feel very confident in our chances of tracking down the final ingredients. But first, I need to steal 30 seconds of your time to coerce you into developing a caffeine addiction.
Totally not me every morning drinking my coffee from the microwave.
Recently struck up a partnership with GamerSups, which is a company that sells delicious energy supplements and 100% socially acceptable receptacles to put them in. In fact, just
Nice
last
pause.
week, I went to an ultra-orthodox bar mitzvah with a shaker cup full of titty milk. Everyone there was clearly jealous because they couldn't stop asking me questions such as, "Who are you?" and "How did you get in here?" This level of popularity could be yours if only you are brave enough to wield a waifu cup to your next family gathering. If this interests you, I encourage you to visit the link on screen or in the pinned comment and use code REGGIE for 10% off.
Reggie
Thank you,
GamerSups.
GamerSups. Now, let's get back to the video. While I was recruiting the units for my new army, I decided to start the scavenger hunt with Grom and Gorebirds. The first and easiest ingredient to find was goldfish. All I had to do was sack an Empire settlement. No problem. In fact, the Empire is really struggling this game. Somehow they've become loosely subjugated by Vlad von Karstein, who is strength rank 4. This presented me with a unique dilemma. Our previous wars have been successful, and they awarded me with a big trophy, but not the biggest trophy. That
The biggest bonies? Is that what it's called? The biggest bonies. I want the biggest bonies.
could only be attained by defeating a top 10 enemy, such as Vlad von Karstein. I didn't need to declare war on him, but in a much more real way, I really wanted to. So in an act of wanton gluttony, I created a new war targeting Vlad's capital city, and over the next 20 turns, Grom and Gorebirds carved their way through the undead region. Vlad himself was an unkillable monstrosity who could best be described as a bipedal euthanasia factory. Fortunately for us, he suffers from a crippling
Oh my god! A bipedal euthanasia factory. That's crazy.
degree of
Jesus.
separation anxiety, and if you kill all of his friends, he will literally disintegrate. Once we worked out that critical flaw, Grom was able to fight his way to Castle Drakenhof, which he claimed through the use of really big ladders and lots of violence. By this point, the war had geographically bisected the undead faction. As you can imagine, this was not good for the economy. In fact, the only units Vlad could afford to recruit were level 1 zombies. That being said, he could afford a lot of level 1 zombies. I know this because the next thing he did was attack me with 5,017 of them. I would spend 20
Oh my god, 5,000! Holy! That's an actual horde army.
minutes slowly chopping my way through thousands of undead, only to be greeted by enemy reinforcements have arrived,
Oh
and the
my
sight of
God.
thousands more on the horizon. There's something vaguely traumatic about fighting an enemy that, despite being flattened, perforated, and impaled, just keeps on coming. The only good thing about having to kill 5,000 people is that once you're done, apparently you get $17,000.
Holy!
Anyway, with this victory, the vampires were relegated to geopolitical obscurity, and I can now sleep at night because I have the biggest trophy. By this point, my recruiting was complete, so I decided to send Rachnik and Oglok to the far corners of the map to collect a few ingredients. Oglok would go to the jungles of the southeast to find lizard legs, winged leather, and centaur milk. Rachnik, on the other
course.
hand, would be exploring the ocean in
You can't forget the centaur milk. You have to come back with the centaur milk. It's crucial.
search of hard-shell crab, pufferfish, and harpy heads. Rachnik sailed successfully across the ocean, eventually arriving in Lustria, where we sacked a pirate settlement to receive hard-shell crab. I attempted to kill Luther Harkon for additional ingredients, but quickly realized
Is that what my dad left to buy? There's a good chance your dad left to acquire the centaur milk. I hate to be the one to tell you this, Cracktopus, but it's a real problem.
that an army of funny green men on spiders was no match for an army of cannons. 5 turns later, Rachnik had been resurrected, and now with a slightly more responsible build, we sailed up the coast to the Dark Elves and absolutely obliterated one of their settlements to gain harpy heads. I thought it would be kind of awkward to try and explain
Whoa! Who has the Hydra? What army gets this Hydra? That looks so cool. Dark Elves? Oh man, Dark Elves are so like emo and metal. That's cool.
that I burnt their city to the ground for some sandwich meat, so instead, I pretended to be a warmongering maniac. After defeating one of their armies, we also acquired
Boys.
Dragontail. This is objectively the best.
Did he just say Dragontail? I'm just gonna head out, nobody tell him. Nobody tell him. Nobody tell him. Nobody tell him. Nobody tell him.
Ingredient if you are not just trying to defeat your enemies, but also psychologically destroy them. Because Dragontail makes all of your goblins fire explosive ammunition. Of course, this is perfectly balanced and not at all unfair when you have 12 stacks of archers. Apart from this, we also—
I make things explode? Dragontail makes things explode in game? What? That is so on brand, it's hilarious. I make things go boom. I love explosives, hell yeah, brother.
Found the Sword of Cain. Apparently it's an immensely powerful weapon that slowly drives its wielder insane. So obviously, I had to have it. Following this,
Sentient
Rachnik
weapon.
returned to the Maelstrom to exact his revenge upon the pirates. After a little bit of this, and a lot of that, he had his last ingredient. Pufferfish. While this was going on, I stumbled upon a hilariously awful dwarf army composed—
Your tail is so chunk, it'll probably nuke everything. It's true.
composed entirely of rock miners. I thought it would be kind of ironic to kill them with rocks. So I did. Say whatever you want about me, but I will literally kill 900 midgets for even the smallest amount of observational humor. But that's beside the point. Let's see how Oglok is doing. You might think Rachnik had it hard being shot to death with cannons at the start of his food quest, but Oglok had it even worse. Within the first 5 turns of him being alive, he was attacked by ogres, contracted the plague, and the hospital he was recovering—
No, not the plague. Not the plague. No! I have PTSD from the plague. The plague plagues me. I've had it for like 40 turns. No plague!
in was hit by several rocket barrages from ultranationalist humans. This resulted in the immediate death of about half of his army. After recovering, I sent him south to harvest ingredients from the lizardmen, which was when this happened. Yeah, that's really not good. The Black Pyramid of
Oh my god! How many? Wait, how many war sphinxes did he have?
humans. This resulted in the immediate death of about half of his army. After recovering, I sent him south to harvest ingredients from the lizardmen, which was when this happened. Yeah, that—
Oh my god. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nagash has 9 war sphinxes? That's crazy. Endgame crisis? That could be you one day? That can be me one day! Kemrian war sphinxes. Hell yeah. I guess that's not Kemri if it's Nagash, but hell yeah. Wait, that's 8? Either way, I want that. That's gonna be me one day. Such is the power of Nagash. Setra can get that too, right? Setra could get enough if I up my capacity.
That's really not good. The Black Pyramid of Nagash has awakened, spawning 9 late-game armies that are hostile to everything, and especially to Oglok, who just happens to be like 50 feet away. But that's when I realized something.
Oh,
To
no.
unlock the milk ingredient, we have to kill a creature with 6 limbs. These necrosphinx have 6 limbs. That's right, boys. We're gonna milk a necrosphinx. I don't physically know how, but I do know we'll be needing some help. So I captured a settlement in the region and formed
Why are we milking everything in this game?
2 new armies, led by Blood
No one is
Spida
safe
Killa
from the
and
milking.
Okay, we're just gonna call him Gorf. Anyway, the boys ambushed one of the skeleton armies, and after encircling it, we managed to milk the necrosphinx. That is definitely not a euphemism for group masturbation. This was technically a success, but we had to use 5,500 people to do it, so I was still pretty frightened. I opted to ignore the end of the world, and instead focus on attacking the lizardmen. We needed to kill their stegodon for lizard legs, and their pterodactyls for leather. This would normally be difficult if we didn't have 9 stacks of black orcs, which are the objective best counter to every unit in the game. Following this victory, we now have 23 out of 25 ingredients. All that's left is tentacles and lion meat. For the tentacles, we have to sack a Norscan settlement. Vikings, meet 12 catapults. Wow, they get along so well. For the final ingredient, we just need to defeat an army
Aw, they're playing so nice together.
containing lions. The best I could find was this high elf doom stack, so I drove Grom into it head first. The battle was actually fairly challenging, mostly because we were outnumbered and my AI reinforcements decided to deploy their army backwards, sprint into the woods, and die. Fortunately, by this point, Grom had so many layers of protective fat that he was functionally invincible, and we managed to eke out a victory. Hundreds of thousands had to die, but we have finally completed our grocery list. All that's left now is to cook every possible dish and feed them to Grom. The only issue is, for some reason, Goblin cuisine requires large quantities of scrap metal, and we have spent most of ours on upgrading our units, so we need to do a little farming. Luckily, raiding enemy territory produces scrap, so I took 3 of my armies and sent them—
Oh my god, his armies have dragons as their mount? That is so cool. What the heck? Wyverns? Oh, that's very cool.
them to raid Volkmar the Grim because he's kind of an uppity asshole.
I would lay down my life if it would rid the world of you and your kind.
True. He is kind of an uppity asshole. Remember when he declared war on me, too? On me? On me? Just for being a skeleton boy!
Okay.
Every single turn, we were stealing 125% of his city's entire GDP, resulting in the kind of economic devastation that is only ever theorized in textbooks. Anyway, I've got my scrap, and I spent the next 8 turns feeding Grom the most bizarre food combinations I could come up with, and by the end of it, he was officially bloated and unstoppable. It's a happy ending for everyone.
He's so
unless your name
huge.
is Vlad von Karstein, Heinrich Kemmler, Daith Durthu, Findal Orion, Count Noctilus, Luther Harkon, Karl Franz, Belgrau Ironhammer, Tic-Tac-Toe, the Black Pyramid of Nagash, Marat,
Tic-tac-toe.
Scrag the Slaughterer, Throg Eltharion, or anyone even remotely French. I want to thank this month's patrons for making these videos possible, and finally, thank you for watching.
Yay, Reggie video! That mukbang was worth it. That was great. I have a little bit of PTSD watching Grom slaughter the Bretonians, though, considering that's gonna be me tomorrow. That's gonna be me tomorrow! I'm scared! How do I defeat him? He keeps defeating me! He keeps slurping them Enchantress toes! You should ask Soteg about Tic-Tac-Toe. Man, I just kind of want to have like a 12-hour Total War stream and beat Tomb King's campaign. You can't just say that! I can say whatever I want! When will we milk a necrosphinx on stream? I don't know if that's possible. I don't know. I don't know about that one, chat. I don't know.